A very good evening, everyone. I'm Shefali Srivastava from University Living, and welcome to ULTV Study Abroad 101 live sessions. We hope that you all guys are safe and taking all the needful precautions at your place. We'll be discussing the UK is better for masters or undergrad. We have Kavita Mehta with us, founder of Third Eye Consulting. Hi, Kavita.
Hi.
An education consulting firm that provides expert counseling and career guidance to help students to make right choice of education and career. Kavita, welcome again, and thank you so much for taking time out today for us. Before we dive into the conversation, I would like you to request to share some light that how Third Eye Consulting helps student and what difference you guys make than other consulting firms.
Definitely. Hi, Shefali. Thank you for such a nice introduction. And hello to everybody in the audience. So, as Shefali has already introduced me, saying that I am the founder and proprietor of Third Eye Consulting, and we are an education consulting firm. Yes, there are many firms in the market, but how are we different? We are boutique counselors. We do not focus on one country or one course or one particular thing. Our main agenda is to find the right fit for the child. Well, it can be any course, any country, and make sure they are placed at the university they deserve to be placed. We hold their hands with the entire process, right from profile building, entrance tests, applications, visas, everything that the children are worried about, the parents are curious about, and that's how we're always available for everybody. Yeah, that sums up us in a very brief way, but yeah.
Nice, nice. Actually, rightful said, and I'm sure slowly and gradually more attendees are joining, and they'll get all this information. That's very informative and insightful.
Right.
Kavita, I got to know that you yourself hold dual master degree in business strategy, one from India, another from UK. So now the whole topics come into the picture that why one should consider UK as like masters for or for undergrad. So now because you hold a master's degree from UK and India both, please enlighten us. What is better, masters or undergrad?
Okay. I'm going to be a bit diplomatic because there is no right answer to this question. But yes, I will try and solve as many queries as I can with this question. So, firstly, let me talk about UK as an education system. So, as we are aware, US and UK have been very old, and they have a lot of old renowned universities, and they are very exclusive in terms of what kind of education they offer. So, when it comes to studying abroad, initially, a couple of years back, you would only hear of UK or US. There were not many countries, not other countries that were so popular, and people were not very open or accepting to the fact of going to the other countries. So, yes, in terms of education, in terms of reputation, quality, UK and US definitely surpass all the other countries because they have a lot of renowned and old universities, and Oxford and Cambridge being the top in the UK, again, as we are all aware of. Now, whether masters or undergrad, honestly, this is a question I get asked almost every day in my career. And it is a question of more concern for the parents than the students, ideally, because this is a very personal decision. It is normally based on the profile of the child and the maturity of the child, not really a decision of whether it is good to study in India or abroad, but it is whether you are fit to study in India or abroad. Good is a second question, but fit is a more important question. So when parents, as parents, when they are deciding whether they should send them after the 12th or they should send them for a master's, I would say they should consider factors, mainly factors being money. It is an important factor. It is quite a lot of investment, and it is not everybody's cup of tea to spend such a big amount at the undergraduate level. Second will be the maturity of your child. Only a parent can know how matured a child is. Even as counselors, it is very difficult for us to analyze in 30 minutes or an hour to say that your child will do well when he goes abroad and he's very matured and he will not have a problem. So if you feel that he's not independent enough and there may be certain things that may not go the way you desire, or there are other family issues and other things, please consider these factors in your entire decision. Third, the course that you're applying for. See the difference in the course curriculum that is offered in your home country versus what is offered in the UK. So we do have certain excellent institutions even in India which offer a similar course content. And so if you feel the child is not mature, if you're pushing beyond your limits, if you're taking a loan, if you're not capable enough to send him for an undergrad, you need not push him. He can do his undergrad here and then go for his masters abroad. You can save that money for his masters, because you need to remember one thing: essentially a masters is important for every child in this generation. They cannot do without a masters. They cannot just study undergrad and say that okay, we'll go and do a masters. तो अगर आपका ये choice है कि whether आप undergrad कराओ या masters, then definitely masters. But if you have enough money and you're open to sending them for both the programs, then it's a different scene. Then you can do undergrad and masters. So like I said, it's a multiple factor consideration when you're choosing to study for your masters or undergrad. But yes, I do believe in the fact that you must go abroad, at least for one of your degrees, because it really changes the perspective of a person. And there is holistic development, which is not possible just in India.
Right. Holistic development that you mentioned, and you have mentioned many points, and I'll definitely circle back to that. There's one point which I want to understand. We get to know a lot about, this term going on, holistic admission process. So
Right.
what is this holistic admission process? And we see many universities mentioning this. What does this mean? Is it just a new jargon in the industry or in the ecosystem, or does this actually implement something very different that we are unaware and just share?
No. So yes, it is definitely a different term, and it is not just a jargon. So when you say in reality, a holistic admission process is simply a process that tries to look at an applicant beyond grades, which is good for a lot of students. So there are two types of students: one who are academically excellent and they can still manage to get every score that desire. There is a second kind of student, especially the ones which are made for abroad education. The ones who are not rote learners, who are not nerds, but they are smart, they are intelligent, they are capable of much more than some of these nerds, what you call them as nerds. But when they look at a holistic application, what the universities are trying to say is we will give students a chance beyond their academics, beyond their grades, or beyond the entrance exams, which are just scores. You may not do well in a test, but you may do well beyond that. So when you have something beyond in your application, beyond your academics, is when the university gives you preferences. Now, when you say the next question that almost every parent or student will have is, how much weightage is that given? So
Right.
important for a child to understand. क्या होता है? I'll tell you, Shefali, it's very funny, but when we counsel so many students in a day and we come across such weird personalities and varied personalities, that we have to be ready with all sorts of questions.
Of course.
So what happens is they say, okay, I'm not a rote learner. I didn't do well academically, but I have done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Most IB schools or A-level students, what you will notice is they do extracurriculars, CAS, internships as part of their curriculum. So there are 30 students. All 30 of them are doing the same things. Correct? अब जब सब सेम कर रहे हैं तो तुम डिफरेंट कैसे हो? तुमने सब किया, तुम डिफरेंट नहीं हो. बिकॉज फिर वो 30 में 5 ऐसे है who are above 90, 5 ऐसे है जो 85 to 90% है, और जो remaining are above 80 or 70. So in that case, if you are a 75 and you say I have done so many other things, holistically I have a good profile, then it is not considered good. It is considered holistically good when you stand out of the box. जो आपके 30 colleagues ने नहीं किया और आपने ऐसा कुछ किया. Or maybe you've gone to, so when I say out of the box, we have students who have volunteered in refugee camps at Syria, or so they have done things that have not been done in school. They have been, or they are national level athletes or swimmers or any sport, for that matter, at national level. That's when you stand out of the box. So tab aapka 70% is justifiable, because you've been doing something way beyond your classmates. That kind of holistic outside approach is different. But if you're doing what everybody is doing, then in that case, you need to remember you will still have to get your marks. You cannot escape the fact that, मैं 90 नहीं लाऊंगा और फिर भी मुझे for Oxford, admit mil jaye. That is not going to happen.
Yeah, whosoever is on the line, guys, and whosoever is going to see it later online, your marks matters whether you are in India or you're going abroad for studies. And attendees, if you have any question, you guys can share your questions in Q&A or chat box. We'll try to address this while the conversation is happening, because the session will end at 5:30. So you guys can share. In the meantime, if there's anything that you want to reshape later on, you want to connect with Kavita, I'll be sharing our ID over here, and you can just share your questions over there. So Kavita, you mentioned a couple of things already, and they were actually part of question, but you mentioned like we have to be out of the box. Your extracurricular means actually extracurricular. It's not really like I'm a good dancer, I'm a good singer, nothing like that.
Right.
And then requirements also you mentioned about academics, about monetary and others. Now I'll combine the questions that I have. Are there any other set of requirements, or what kind of things apart from this extracurricular activities UK universities look into the student?
So the good part about UK is one that they are very specific in what they need. So when you open any website, they are very clear कि आपको first filter ये हमारा है, ये तो आपको complete करना ही है. उसके बाद additionally आप हमें जो दोगे, we will look at it through your essay and stuff like that. But our first filter is very clear. We know what we want. If you're fitting into our filter, we will consider you. The second filter is when we say that so the first filter, guys, for UK undergraduate is that your 10th and 12th standard grades are important. Unlike the US, which looks at 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, they are only looking at your 10th standard grades and 12th standard predicted. They will give you a conditional offer. It is not an offer. So, some people get a predicted of 42, and then in the actual exam, they get a 38. So, if you're going to do that, sorry, unka conditional hai offer. So they will say, hello, goodbye, you have not met our conditions, you cannot come to our school.
Right.
So some students feel so relieved, oh, I've got an offer and I'm thinking, I'm sorted, I don't need to study for my finals. So you have to study for your finals. You have to meet the conditions, and they're very specific. So they need the 10th, they need the 12th. In most cases from Indian schools, they will also require you to do your IELTS, which is a prerequisite, the English language exam. Apart from that, when you look for scholarships, when you look for other things, that's when your holistic approach comes into the factor. So your extracurriculars, your out of the box things that you've done will add to your application in terms of getting you bursaries or scholarships.
Right. We have a question over here. Let's answer that in the meantime, and then I'll take forward to the. So Sunidhi has a question, that is GATE score accepted at UK universities?
The GATE score is accepted. No, not for all the universities. There are prerequisites in terms of what they need, but not for all the universities.
Okay, so of course, September 2022 and the new academic year has already started, with student might have started preparing with everything for the application process and all that. What is the ideal time, and how should they focus and work on their application for this coming academic year?
Very good question. Especially so with postgraduate students, the ideal time frame to start your applications, make it in time. If you're looking for scholarships, funding, it is ideally you should start 1 year in advance so that you have enough time to do everything. For undergraduates, the right time to see a counselor is basically when you are doing a subject selection. Because what happens is, if they don't have the right combination, they're not eligible for the right bachelors. So if you want a specific stream, there is a specific prerequisite subject requirement. So please make sure you see counselors before you give your subject choices to your schools, because after you've given it, we are literally stuck with limited options. So if you want to make sure that you have all the options, it is ideally important that you see the counselors while you're doing a subject selection. So that is mostly after your 10th standard boards or while the 10th standard, so that before you give your 11th standard subject choices, you know what you're doing is correct.
Right. And you mentioned that you meet a lot of students on a daily basis with all this. What are these most popular courses among the students, and are these courses actually the right choice, being from a counselor perspective?
So earlier, India had very limited acceptance to niche programs because the parents were very orthodox, and most of the popular programs within Indian students were either doing law, medicine, business, engineering. We were not accepting niche programs, and we were very reluctant on that front in terms of parents. But post COVID, especially during COVID and post COVID, we are seeing a very different trend. There is a high demand for IT, of course, IT because of the digital platforms and increase in technology everywhere. So machine learning, artificial intelligence, business analytics, IT are amongst the most popular ones. And uh, in the creative fields, we are seeing a lot of design students and psychology and healthcare workers. I mean, the need for healthcare workers and that kind of programs also picking up, which is very satisfying. I'm very happy that Indian parents are accepting it, and yes, it's a very good change, a very good trend that is going to come in the next few years, and we are looking forward to that change in the Indian background.
Right, right. Well said. Actually, traditionally, it was always like either doctor,
Yeah.
engineer, and all that. And I'm sure that we all have been through that cycle back at our home.
Yes.
So yeah, we have one question in regards to the employability, because of course, ultimately, whatever we are studying, the result is the end goal is to have the better career opportunities.
Correct.
So the question over here is, which UK university courses have the best graduate employment rate?
Okay, so it's a very wide question, but I will try and sum it up very briefly for everybody who's listening. That so with UK, we have the Financial Times rankings, which are normally very close to the best kind of rankings, very honest opinions. And when you see the rankings, uh, uh, the biggest factor when they consider rankings is the employability of a university. So you will normally be able to see in terms of the course and their rankings that what is the employability range on their website. However, what I also need to tell the children is that if you don't have a profile, not everybody can get an Oxford, Cambridge, UCL, Imperial, or a Manchester for that matter. That doesn't mean that if you go to the mid-range or the tier 2 universities, you will not be employed. What is important is that you need to understand that most of these universities now in the UK have also started offering a sandwich year, a placement year in your program, which means you do 2 years of your undergraduate, the third year you work, and the fourth year is when you go back to complete your degree. When you're working in that third year, make sure you make such good contacts, you do good networking, make industry contacts, such that when you graduate, you are able to find a job. With the PSW that has started this year, PSW is what we call as the post-study work visa, which has just started in 2020, which is one good thing that has happened in the UK. Increasing in number of students has been because of this. And so once you finish your undergraduate or postgraduate degree, you are eligible to stay back in the UK for 2 years on your post-study work visa and work. To get the right kind of job, like I said, it's important that you make your industry contacts while you are in the program, so that when you graduate, you are placed and you will be able to find a good job. So it is not necessary that you have to pass out from the top schools. It is if you are proactive, if the child is very conscious from the beginning, you will manage to find jobs.
Right. So on the same note, while you're mentioning the job and of course career opportunities, I'll circle back to your points that you mentioned earlier, that if a student is not able to go while being an undergrad to UK or other part of the world, they should definitely try to go for masters.
Yes.
Now, what are the different job opportunities available? How they vary? Like if I do an undergraduate with UK, what kind of job opportunities will I have? If I do a master's, what kind of job opportunities will I have over there?
So, very good question. So, what happens is you need to understand when you go for an undergraduate degree, you're staying there for 3 or 4 years. You have 3 to 4 years to make your contacts, build networking, get close to your professors, take an industry placement here, etc., etc. So, definite, and plus with the undergraduates, what UK has what you call as a graduate scheme jobs. So there is a different portal in which you can apply to almost 150 universities just through one portal on graduate schemes, and then they can apply to various companies. So the undergraduates have that benefit of time, benefit of making contacts at that much time. Whereas when you look at a master's in the UK, it is slightly difficult because it's a 1 year program. Within 1 year, you have to finish studying, you have to settle, you have to get used to the cultural advances that are happening while you're simultaneously looking for a job. So that kind of gets challenging. But I also believe that when you go for a postgraduate, you're much more mature than an undergraduate child. So aapne, a lot of them have already taken some experience here. They have a lot on their CV in terms of that. So yeah, it has its pros and cons, but it's the choice you ultimately make. You have to live with it and start making your direction in that way, that make the best out of it.
Right. Okay, guys, so we're almost near the end time. I have one question over here, which I'll take, and then Kavita, you can just sum up if anything you want to add on from your side. What is the turnaround time for CAS by universities in the UK?
So it will again depend from university to universities. Most universities will, once your CAS request has been given, most universities try and give it within 48 hours. There are some universities when during the peak time, when there is a lot of rush, they may take up to 72 hours or more. But we try, as counselors, even from our end, we try and push the universities to give it as early as possible so that we have enough time to process the visas.
Right. Now, because we are almost like near, slowly and gradually, I would like you to give a little bit clarity that why a counselor is a good help to the students who are planning to study abroad.
Right. So, like she said, as we have to sum it up, I'm going to keep it very brief and very precise. Yes, you will find a lot of information on the internet. You will find a lot of friends who you could talk to. Mixed conversations, mixed reviews causes a lot of confusions. You can find medicines on the net, but you still go and visit a doctor, right? So we are experts. We have done a study. We are in constant touch with various university representatives, various students who are studying abroad, taking constant feedback, reviews, so that the people who we are guiding right now are not misguided and they get the best, they get what they deserve. That is the reason you should be coming to us. We help you with understanding your profile, making sure you get the right fit for yourself, and you're not misguided, and you're not in trouble once you're there. So yeah, to sum it, we are there. We are your guardian angels. We are not here to, we are here to help you in the best possible way. So make use of people like us who are there to help you.
Right. So as quoted by Kavita, let's not just focus on Google Baba. There are right people to help you out, whether it is Third Eye Consulting or University Living. We're all there. Just reach out. You just have to reach out to us. So that's it. On this note, I believe we can close the session. Thank you so much, Kavita, for joining us.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And we hope the session is insightful. Guys, if you have any question, whether it's for Kavita or for us, I've mentioned the email address in the chat box, support@university 11. You guys can reach us over there. And looking forward to see you guys again. This is a whole series. You guys can join us every Friday. Next Friday, I'll see you guys at 5. Stay tuned on our social media channels for getting more information about it. Thank you so much, Kavita.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye. Take care.
Bye.